Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you. Peace out to the rest of you. I'm only starting off with the peace greeting because I'm addressing a Muslim. And I'm addressing you guys in the audience. Let's take this blow by blow because this is probably going to be my first reaction video. I'm going to let you hear this. And I'm sure that the man I'm addressing is also going to hear this. Saad Imam is not that man, but he knows who this man is. Now, I've taken issues with this man before, pointing fingers at men, talking about take accountability. What are you doing wrong? And I'm like, we agree on male chastity, but he's really quick to point fingers at dudes and not say much to the women. Like, and I've stated this before, as if men are walking around with a whole bunch of options like what women have. And everybody knows we don't. So let's hear this. Here we go.
We was talking about, the nice guys and the real good brothers. And the good brothers, they're chaste and they live that chaste life. A lot of times gonna test him. He does. And they pursue halal even if the results aren't always in their favor. Because they have to walk on Allah to Allah and they have to walk on the righteousness. And their honor and their self-respect, they don't want ever to have fornication to touch them. Okay, those are what we call the good guys, good brothers.
Okay, so far we agree. Those are the good men. Those are the men, they're doing the right thing. They're practicing male chastity, which you heard about in my last upload. Yeah, that's important. They're doing what they should. However, what he's saying is, they're going to be tested and the results might not be okay. Well, then that means that it's time to go somewhere where the system does not punish you for doing the right thing. Whether that system is legal or cultural. You go where you're not going to be punished for doing what's right. You don't just accept every test. Some tests are to see if you're going to fight back and run.
You have what you call them so-called nice guys.
Uh-oh.
And they see him on post. Well, because they couldn't get at the chicks that were top tier and they hot about it.
And?
So then now in real time, the chicks they wanted to get at, they got kids and their futures have ran off. Okay. So these nice guys ain't virgins. They did exactly what Future does. Smash and dash. Girlfriend here, there, girlfriend go. But it was just girls that were low tier. Or girls that didn't really, the girls that weren't the ones sought after. So what they did,
Stop right there. Okay, so these nice guys are not virgins. Well, here's the thing. That actually would count in their favor with women because women don't like virgins. We know that already. This is virgin women don't like virgins. You got Muslim virgin women that don't want a Muslim virgin man. Plenty, actually. It's becoming more and more prevalent in the West as we speak. God, don't get me started on Canada and the UK. Mahdi Tijani will tell you how bad those broads are in the UK. Talking about just the Muslims. But Ladola knows something about that too. A survey in Canada told me how bad it is. See, I agree with male chastity. But understand that these men being virgins is not what counts against them. So get this straight, bruh.
Exact same things that Future and the Pookies and Ray Rays did. The only difference is it was done to girls that they had to accept. They had to settle for. The Lizzos, the 304, bottom tier 304s. The chicks, your level bottom, the chicks that let everybody hit. She's so stuck off of attention that she just let everybody hit because she got the lowest of self-esteem. So anybody's attention is enough for them. Anybody's attention. Whereas the girls who are pretty, they know they're pretty, they went after the Pookies and the Ray Rays, the Tupacs and the Jodis. While the nice guys had to settle for the bottom tiers.
So why the F are you pointing fingers at dudes and trying to hold dudes accountable when you just sat up and said that if the women look nice, they prefer bad dudes? See, he started with that woman's argument, well, those nice guys aren't really nice guys because they not virgins. No. They may or may not really be nice guys, but the point is that just like with the pro-black men, whether they are sincere or faking it, the fact that they profess pro-blackness makes them less attractive to black women. It's the same with these nice dudes. The fact that they seem nice makes them less attractive to these women. See, again, you sit up here trying to hold the men accountable for something and let the women off the hook. And one of the reasons I say that, sir, is because the way that you talk to the women later is it's to advise them to do something better. Why? They're the ones making these decisions when they're young. Oh, I'm cute, so I'm gonna get me a bad dude, and I'm gonna punish the ones that treat me well. That's what you're saying. Oh, that's okay. Now that you want to get married, go into religious circles and find you men that are marriage minded. No, they don't deserve that. And I'm with you on male chastity. But see, here you go. Every time I look up, you try to slip in something to hold men accountable. And I knew that this was coming. I was waiting on this, and here it is. When you hold men accountable for being chaste, fine. That goes both ways, men and women. And one thing that cannot, I've stated this before, one thing that cannot be the case is that for men, celibacy can never be a reward. Chastity is a chore. Should we do it? Yes, but it is a chore. And the reward for a chore cannot be more chores. And that's what you pretty much stating. Oh my God. I swear, man, this is what I was talking about. These are the kind of males that whether they know it or not, they set up a culture that penalizes men for making the right moral choices, and that's unacceptable.
And the bottom of the knife chicks. I mean, it's a reason why, you see girls who aren't very cute, or they're out of shape and whatnot, and they may have a particular body part that stands out, and they got kids, because the nice guys came through and hit it up. Nice guys.
Chances are those nice guys either would still be with her if that's the case, or these were unplanned pregnancies. I mean, pregnancies he didn't plan. If it's the nice guys that are the fathers of these babies, then chances are they be with the babies. So if it's not the case, then let's say either she planned a pregnancy, he didn't, which means he must in the relationship. Because if she plans it and he doesn't, you can't trust her. So that their relationship's got to go. I know about that. Or she had the baby. He's a nice guy, but she still ran him off, because she wanted to be a single mother, because that's what the sisterhood is. Or it wasn't the nice guy that fathered them kids. Now, if he's a fake nice guy, that is one thing. But women swear up and down they can see with their third eye. So, I mean, if they can see through everything else, how come they can't see through that? It's real simple. They don't need to see through that. See, a guy that's really not nice will early on discover in life that it's better for him to not be nice and not play nice to get the draws. If he's already not nice, that's who he is. He's going to be chased after from a young age by these women, or validated, or given choosing signals or something like that. Those are the ones who, when they are teenagers, girls will climb up the side of their house to get to the balcony to tap on their window to come get some. They'll do that. They learn at an early age that it's better to not be nice. The ones who are acting this way have really been told, not shown, but they've been told, and therefore convinced that it is better for them to be nice, and they find out over time that that's actually the reason why they fail with women. That's what happens, sir.
These nice guys now are in their 40s, right? And maybe the girls they were with aborted their kids, or they wear condoms, or whatever. So
now you're saying that they don't have kids. But you just said that the nice guys came through and hit them up. See, this is inconsistency.
What's the means of them not having children from these Lizzos and low-rate 304s? And now they look at other chicks who are the ones they really wanted, but they got somebody else's kid. They talk about, you need to get rid of your kid. No, they're not nice guys. They're just sluts who just had to lower their standards and take what they can get.
It's because they were nice guys that they would have had to lower standards and take what they could get. But see, keep in mind, brother, we're talking about a lot of non-Muslims for the most part. And a lot of non-Muslim men aren't out here just knocking them down like that. What are you talking about? You know the stats have said that a lot of men ain't out here they ain't getting none. Young dudes. And every year the number goes up, not for women, but it does for men. I mean, goodness, man. And I don't mean every year with age. I mean every calendar year, the percentage of men that are getting any at all goes down. And keep in mind, these non-Muslim men, although they should be chaste according to their own religion, I hold them to that and I teach them that. The fact is, most of them were not taught chastity, and so therefore, they're going by what the program is. And the program, supposedly, the one that's taught to them is you have a relationship, that naturally sex happens in a relationship. That's where it happens. And they find that they're in these relationships and they're not having sex unless, of course, she's just unattractive. They're not in relationships unless these women are unattractive. That's where the sex happens. That's what they're learning, sir. But you, a Muslim, just have to point the finger at dudes. What you got to say to the women? You know they're the ones playing the games.
That's why you hear those guys. And most of these guys, they end up, they're on that red pill tip.
Yeah, that's because the red pill is right. Now, everything you're supposed to do, I mean, what you do about it, yeah, we're governed by our religions in that regard. But what the information is, the observations of the red pill are correct and the blue pill is wrong. That's it. These guys aren't losers like you say, and therefore they became red pill. No, red pill guys are oftentimes the ones that have had success with women, or success and failures.
Because the guys who could get what they want, or who move a certain way and they got the mouthpiece and the spit.
The fact that you need a mouthpiece and spit in order to woo these women instead of substance and productivity and their own natural interest shows that these women are broken. So when you gonna point the finger at them, bruh? Still waiting.
To get at whatever they want, they're trying to get at. They're not red pill. They don't care.
No, bro, a lot of them also. Actually, a lot of them are married. Yeah, ask BGS more about that. I got to refer you to a non-Muslim to get your facts straight. I'm not supposed to have to do that, but I do. You chose that. Most of the guys who are succeeding with these women, they not red pill. Really, dude? Okay, look, bro. Like I said, the red pill is a mix. Guys have succeeded, they have failed. A lot of these men have done both when it comes to women. Like me. And I'm telling you that one of the reasons why we know a lot of the information that we know about how women really get down is because of what these men who succeeded with women found out. Some men never failed with women, but they learned what these women were doing to other men. They were the guys next to whom these broads were sitting when we would call and they wouldn't answer. They saw she got these phone calls and wouldn't answer. And they later find out, well, you want to take that phone call? I'll pause the movie. No, it's just some nigga. I don't like him. He's sweating up. He all up on me, but I'm here with you now. And then these guys come to find out because, as social media expanded and men were able to compare notes, these guys found out what it was like for normal men and they became red pill because they were also being lied to.
But the red pill guys, these are the guys who had to put in a lot of time and effort talking. They had to, basically, you're a nice person, but you're ugly. They find you ugly.
Yeah, see, here's the part, and that's why I skipped fast forward a few seconds. Excuse me. Bruh, you don't seem to understand that however attractive they think you look, simply being nice, mannerable, makes you less attractive in their eyes. You should know this. Now, granted, you got married at age 22. As a Muslim, and I'm glad you did, brother, but you just don't seem to understand that these broads are lying. There is an element of evil in the ways that they select men. They find men to be less attractive for being nice. Just like black women find pro-black men to be less attractive because they're pro-black.
And you got to deal with that. And but most of those guys, they're usually red pill guys. They're the guys always angry online about the black girls this or the white girl that.
No, Ninja, we're angry online because you sitting up here trying to buy into their lies. Like these women they just don't know. No, bro, they know. They're not making these decisions just out of bad information or mistakes. Sometimes that is the case. But when you remove the mistakes and the information they just don't have, there's the element of malice. Sir, they hate you and me more than they love themselves. They hate most men more than they love themselves. The men that are invisible to them are lucky.
Whatever ethnic group of chicks that they couldn't get at.
Well, that's usually the same ethnic group of man, because see, white women are hardest on white men, black women are hardest on black men, Asian women are hardest on Asian men, and I'm talking about Eastern Asian, like Chinese and Korean, maybe Vietnamese, because they seem to be trying to move up in that. They used to be with the tropical Southeast Asians, and now it seems like they're trying to be more like the Koreans and the Chinese in later years. You get the idea of Latino women tend to be hardest on Latino men, and then whichever between white and black they like the least, because Latin American women, they vary in their taste as far as men go. But pretty much every one of them seems to be hardest on their own, actually. Yeah. And of course, South Asian, like Indian and Pakistani women, well, they're hardest on their own men and then on black men, and they're easiest on white men. That's how they roll. But I mean, hey, look, Jeannie Mai she was the hardest on Asian men, second hardest on white men, and she was actually married to one first, and the easiest she's ever been is with a Shine. But you want to say they just the ones? No, it's about the Western women, sir. It really comes down to that, because they're upped up.
Or who don't like them. They're down. They're sitting on other ethnic, uplifting other ethnic groups while shitting on their own.
Actually, bro, I don't think you've been doing a whole lot of listening, because what we're largely doing is we are respecting the women that respect us. And right now that happens to be non-Western women. We're not always just crapping on our own. As a matter of fact, I don't think black men have taken enough of a dump on Western black women. Notice I didn't say black, I said Western black women. We haven't taken a big enough dump yet. The process is starting though, and I'm glad to see it. But no, we haven't done it enough.
Probably didn't even look at them. Yeah, the nice guy. Oh, the nice guy. And usually nice guy, these guys have rape-o tendencies.
Y'all heard that? He said that we have, I can't really say it, but he said that we have grape-o tendencies with a silent G. Oh, okay. Most guys are actually nice to women, especially starting off early in life. Remember, most of us don't know that doesn't work when we start off. So you're saying that most dudes got grape-o tendencies? He's about to say next, I'm going to skip past that. He's about to say next that we feel like we're owed something because we're nice. Well, we feel like we're owed whatever they said that they would give because we're nice. And if that's a relationship, then that's fine. But if with the relationship comes them draws, then that's how we're going to wind up expecting it. So yeah, indirectly we will, just as much the same way that women indirectly expect to be taken care of. Actually, women's expectations of our money are far more direct and presumptuous than our expectations of them draws. But you ain't said nothing about that. By the way, I'm letting you know that in this clip I'm playing of y'all, he's never going to mention that part, because this is where he just points the finger at dudes, just dudes.
Desert thirsty. People who aren't thirsty, being nice is not a problem. You can be nice. If you're a good person, you do good person things. But if you're the nice guy, you do good things to expect physical transactions from the females. In real terms, they're really just a trick.
Well, apparently all relationships are transactional. I mean, you in another video said that you were not going to pay a dowry. Rightly so. You said you're not going to pay a dowry for a woman that's not about to live the life she's supposed to live, which is the one you want to live. And you were right for saying that. You're not going to sit up here and pay a dowry for a woman that, because you're Muslim, you're not going to pay a dowry for a woman that's got problems practicing the basics of the religion, even the parts that are easy. And you were right to say it. So there's an element of transaction in these relationships. What you want to do is take nice guys that ain't gonna tolerate being mistreated for being nice and then say, see, you up here being a trick and this, that, and the other. You want to sit up and no, bro. Most of us were. You ain't mean to women, obviously. And I'm glad if you found a marriage in which you're not paying the cost for being nice. I'm glad. Oh, by the way, gentlemen, let me tell y'all something. He himself has said that he did not marry an African-American woman. However, he's never sat up and said that men need to stay put and marry African-American women. So that's why I'm not chewing him out about this. I'm chewing him out by what he done said. And I'm glad this man got married at 22 and that there's a whole lot of stuff he didn't have to learn firsthand. But before I started speaking on this, I spent time learning and seeing what it is that dudes are going through and even going through a good bit of it myself. He apparently has been married so long he forgot any time that he was ever mistreated for being nice.
They're a trick. Cheap one at that, but a trick, an unwanted trick. They have the game to spit, so they're a trick.
See, here we go with that game stuff, bruh. You African American and you Muslim. Having heard what you've heard, you're supposed to be against that whole game culture. Social skills, fine, yeah, but game? Really, bruh? You Muslim, you African American, so you know what game has done to our community, our ethnic community, and you sitting up here talking about guys not having game to spit. Game is for niggas with no substance, sir. That's the point of it. That's why we call it game instead of charm or skill or conversation or wisdom or substance or character. We don't use these deep terms for it because we can't, because game ain't all of these things. It's so shallow. But it is meant to dazzle women when you ain't got substance. Or when you don't know that what you have is substance because they taught you to believe that what you have is not enough.
There's nothing about them as alluring to others.
Well, actually, I've seen with my own eyes that women could be attracted to a guy and still mistreat him when they realize he's nice. I've seen that happen too. Hell, it's happened to me. It's happened to a friend of mine that looked like Garfield Bright. And he wasn't lacking in game per se, if you want to call it that. I mean, he could be smooth. He was a charming person in general, very polite. He was, and he still had his boundaries. I mean, the man could fight, so nobody could say he was a pushover. But because he was actually just nice and polite, attractive women avoided this dude. And unattractive women would get with him and mistreat him, and he wasn't even a pushover. He divorced the wife that cheated on him. Divorced her soon as he caught her. But you know what? That didn't change the way the women reacted. Educated women, too.
They're a trick. So being nice is their currency. Any level of doing any kind of convenient thing for a female is they're the bottom tier trick. You see them in videos. They took you out to eat $30-$40 and they're expecting to get something out of that $30-$40. Cheap trick.
Well, that's because some other dude didn't have to spend $30 and $40, and we see that. So these are now guys that are older and have gotten into their jobs and making money, and they're pretty much saying, if he got it on the strength of nothing, then I'm not gonna sit up and spend no $50 or $30-$40. She's lucky I'm spending that much on her, because I know she let other niggas hit for less. That's what you're hearing. These are dudes that have learned that being nice gets you mistreated.
If he was honest with himself and just been a trick off tops and just go out there and get a streetwalker and just pay your fee and be done. But he's too cheap. What
if he had done this? What? You didn't mention that part. You just went on to the next sentence. But he's too cheap. No, bro. If he had just gone out and just paid to play, then he would have been set up to be robbed. That's what would have happened. Because when these women decide I want to get this money, but I don't want to give up the draws, they're more likely to do that to a guy they think is nice. They're sitting up looking for stuff like that. Well, let me set him up. Because that's how they are. As I stated, they hate men more than they love themselves. That's one of the reasons they punish nicer and better behaved men, and they don't punish the ones that are just foul. Ain't no penalty. Actually, they'll punish them too, but they start off punishing guys that have manners. So if one of those guys shows up and tricks, well, he's probably still going to be quite polite in the negotiation phase. So what does it run? Okay, where do you feel comfortable doing this? Those are the ones she'll set up to rob because she already has a low boiling contempt. Remember, those women that work in these industries, strippers and pros and feminists, have the most severe and the highest hatred of men. Oh, dominatrixes too. They have the highest hatred of men because of the men they deal with, because these men are willing to pay. They hate nice men even more.
So he has to apply. He has to go look. He has to go to the low route. $30 for a date, and it gets bad when he gets denied. So, but these are your good guys. These are the supposed good guys that supposedly women passed over.
Supposedly, no, they did. These women are sitting up and saying, you got to have bodies to be with me now. They're saying we don't like nice guys because they're nice because we're screwed up. They're starting to admit this now. It's in words like you. And I say, even though you a Muslim, I'm going to oppose you on this. And every other Muslim man that comes up and wants to point fingers at men and let women off the hook. When I told you put the cart before the horse, well, you know the men lead. Not here. Not there. Where I live, the men lead, but not just unilaterally.
Most dudes don't deal with women unless they let them hit.
Actually, most dudes aren't like that, but I think we need to start being more like that. It's got to be we're related, we're making money together, or I'm tapping that. And you and I agree that tapping that should be either she's a concubine or she's a wife. So we agree on that. But what is it that you're going to say is a good dude? He deals with women that are not related to him and ain't making money together, and he just gives and takes nothing in exchange? Why the F would we do that? Why should we, especially for the Western woman?
So most of you, the really good brothers, very small. So you have to have discipline.
No, most guys that are chaste and well behaved, well, that may be small in number according to our standards of chastity as Muslim. But in actuality, a lot of Muslim guys they don't have the option to not be chaste. It's not really an option for them. And as I stated, if they resorted to paying to play, guess what would happen to them? They'd get set up to be robbed. Who do you think Cardi B was setting up to rob when she admitted that she was doing this? I'm telling you, it wasn't Pookie, it wasn't Ray Ray, it wasn't Junebug, unless he was unarmed or unless he looked the part, but he wasn't really that type of dude. But somebody that was really armed and you know, had bodies, those type dudes, especially if she knew that he had bodies, were not the ones she would rob. Because forget calling the police, them dudes would find her and they would have put a bullet in her, and she knows it. And that's why she's still alive. She also knew who not to drug and rob.
And wait out for those and look for those good brothers, really good brothers. Not the nice guy, not the Jodys, not the Tupacs. You have to change the standard of what you're looking for.
Okay, we agree that she should actually look for these dudes. We agree, but keep in mind, you say change the standard. Well, bruh, again, that means that she needs to, one, meet that standard, and two, she needs to be honest up front about what that standard is, and you don't mention that part. See? Say out loud, this is the standard. Sex is within a marriage or concubinage, if that existed today. Okay, fine. Be honest about it. Up front. And don't turn around and give it away to some dude that didn't marry you. Oh, well, guess what? That's exactly what they're doing. You're still missing the point here. The non-Muslims are taught a lesser standard of chastity. We don't agree with it. It's not necessarily the one that's in the book. But they're taught a lesser standard, the men and the women alike. But the men are seeing that the women they're not picking based on any standard of chastity to begin with. They're just simply punishing guys who are nice and rewarding guys who are irresponsible or jerks. That's it. Or very violent.
Because most of the time in the dating game, the girl, this is what she gets to do. She gets to meet and talk to guys, date them for whoever, mess around with them for whoever, and let's say it goes on for 4 months to a year. And then within that year, the guy never marries you. And then you gotta start over again. And in
Well, again, there are stats out there, sir, that prove that men are the ones that are fine with marriage, especially black men. It's the women that aren't. They don't want to get married until they're too old to marry. Again, the reason they're not getting married is not because of us, it's because of them.
that body counts against
Brother.
you. Yes, the body counts.
Yeah, the body counts against them, much like the lack of bodies counts against the men that are nice guys. See, every woman knows that the nice guy's not screwing someone else, so they don't want to be the first one. So the lack of bodies counts against him. So you telling men to be chaste, which is fine, but you got to tell these men as well, it's not necessarily going to mean that everything's going to work out in the end if you stay in the West. See, I think the real issue is that you don't want to be told that you also should have left. Because you Muslim, so for you, Hijra was also a requirement if you could make it. Now, if you couldn't, you couldn't. Disregard that. But if you could, you knew you were supposed to do it. Because we've all heard this before. Only question is to where. And I think really you don't want to hear that.
So you're playing a game that's rigged.
No, the guys are playing a game that's rigged, and the women rigged it, sir.
In real life, you should simply just be abstinent, go to religious circles where there are actually men who look for wives, and fish in those ponds.
Right. Okay, that's the right way to go for men and for women alike. But here's the thing. Now that we know that these women were willing to actually take the sexual initiative and climb up to second story windows and balconies and tap on the windows of bad boys and throw themselves at them at night, what we're going to say is, now we can, you might be all chasing everything, but you're going to do that same thing for me. And if you were doing that without a marriage contract for these dudes, you know what? You're going to do that for me too. What these men are saying is that, and although that's not the right thing for them to say, the fact remains that you're telling these women to turn around and increase standards after they done shown that they don't have these standards. No. Tell the young women that ain't got started yet to start off this way. That's what you missing. You think you're gonna tell these ran through 304s that done F Pookie and Ray Ray and Jody to turn around and raise their standards and come to us now? No, bruh. See, you're not holding them accountable.
The dating rink is rigged. Those guys aren't getting married.
Those guys shouldn't get married. If concubinage was a thing, I would say they should only accept that. Because again, the nice guys are the ones that actually have some of the least reasons to get married. If anybody is deserving of getting them draws without a marriage contract, it will be the nice guys. The only way for that to work as far as you and I are concerned and constrained religiously is in concubinage, which does not exist. But as soon as we bring it back, that's what they deserve.
Smashing and dashing or what you call shacking and macking.
Not the nice guys, not the ones on whom you're talking down.
So they're in their late 40s. And then they don't want you who's their age. They want the 20 and 30-year-old.
That's most men in general, sir. Whether it's the nice guy or the pookie or the one that's just experienced with a bunch of... That's just most guys in general. And look, sir, see, as I stated before, I actually would prefer him close to my age. And I'm in my middle 40s. I would prefer that. I mean, he still need to look good, but I'm fine with that. I don't need more kids. I just needed to be attractive and wise and act like it. Bruh, when I state this, the women change how they act. They go right back to acting like they're 20 years old. You see? That's how they go back to acting. The Western ones, I mean. Okay, now they go right back to acting like they're 20 and stupid. And what games can I play on this bald-head, light-skinned Negro? Since he does like me. He ain't doing me a favor. They don't understand. I might like him, but I'm still doing him a favor because other men don't want him. And that flies out their head. So when the man does want them at that age, they still gonna act the same way she's coming out the West because she can, brother.
And they'll use their bodies against you to justify them looking for your less body having younger counterpart.
Yeah, brother, the younger ones have high body counts too, and the fact is that it's not just holding it against them. It's more like we have to because she's not going to be able to pair bond. So we already know, okay, she done screwed all these other cats, and I'm the nice guy, so I wasn't the one she was screwing. So what she want with me now? That's really what's going on. It's that the ones they're trying to get to marry them are the same ones they didn't want early. And these dudes are like, I know what the game is. I mean, I know I'm not your type. So why you want me to marry? Oh, yeah, that's right, because you old. Other men don't want to marry you. The dudes that I could not compete against when I was younger now don't want to marry you, so you want me to marry you. But if I did marry you, and then I'm working hard to take care of your butt so you can sit at home, then in exchange for me being a responsible provider for 10 years, you're going to cheat on me in the meantime while I'm at work, then leave me and take alimony and everything else and just give it away for free to that guy anyway. He won't have to marry you then.
Now, most of the girls my age range in their 40s should have figured this out in high school.
Yeah, they would have if they talked to anybody or just simply observed, but you got to understand, why didn't they figure it out in high school? Because in high school, they were immature and stupid. Not just no, they weren't even inexperienced. They were experienced by the end of the first years in high school, a lot of them would be experienced. They just didn't want to figure it out. They didn't want to think. Thinking is one thing that young, attractive girls don't like to do except to manipulate. Because in the West, that's how they're trained. Should have figured it out. That's when somebody sat up and said to them, you know, in words like you, brother, were preaching to them, well, you know, a good man is going to, and they go down this long laundry list of what a good man's going to do for them. So what they thought was that when they got to be this age, these good men they didn't want were going to be still sitting up on the sidelines waiting on them, just glad to finally get up in somebody's guts. That's what they thought was going to happen. And you sit up here blaming those men for waking up and realizing that they were only being sought after for protection, provision, but no procreation. You blaming those guys for wising up and saying, you know what, F you, I'm going to go for that young woman over there that hasn't taken so many dinglings that nobody matters to her anymore.
That dating don't lead nowhere. But as Soulfyah said, a woman is deficient in two things.
So I'm going to end it there. But you're right that dating doesn't lead anywhere. I know that as a Muslim. I agree. Dating leads nowhere. The less I've dated, the better I've been happy in marriages. If you want to correlate them at all. I agree. But by the same token, I want you to keep this in mind, brother. I can see why it is that somebody once told me that you were an idiot or something like that. I forgot what somebody said about you. I ain't gonna say who it is, but I can understand why he said it now. I wouldn't resort to name calling like I should, but I get it. See, you always point fingers at dudes. Now, before you were doing it in a specific context in which I myself had done it too, you know, saying men need to be chaste, but you forgot to tell this to the women that they need to be chaste, and they need to also not be chaste, but they need to also be sexually loose and inviting to their husbands. That's what they needed to do. And they need to be attractive too, which is still easy for them because different guys find different women attractive. They need to be willing to be with the dude that finds them attractive and drain his nuts. They have a problem with that. In case you ain't listening, brother, Crimson Cure done gave up the game. Crimson Cure done already told us what it is. It's just you're letting them off the hook. She done sat up and said that women will deny themselves the sex they want just to deny the man because he likes it. And she's talking about African American women that are Muslim and non-Muslim. She's talking about Western women, really, because we know the white woman does that to her man too. But I'm telling you, sir, you should know this stuff. And again, you won't point the fingers at them and you won't point the fingers at dudes. Well, this time you wind up doing it in a general sense. What about these dudes that ain't chaste? What about these dudes that sleep on couches? And you know, to your credit, you did say that you did say that there was a particular area where you saw them doing this. But then I find out you live in another part of the same coast. And you talking as if men are the same everywhere and they're not. No, bro. You ain't finna hold men accountable for anything beyond which they had control and adequate knowledge. Should brothers have been chaste? Yes. But let's not act like They were taught this. And let's not act like if they are chaste, they're going to find a chaste woman. You still got to keep in mind that despite how much you and I agree that men should be chaste, which is one thing I'm telling other men. As a matter of fact, I said this to you before and you were like, well, realistically, you can't expect men to just, okay, so you were the one that told me, and you Muslim, that realistically, I can't expect men to be chaste. Why are you talking like this? For what? The men ain't chaste, but ladies, you need to be. Hold on. The men and the women should be chaste. But the women must understand that unless they're going to go and pursue young men while the women are also young, pursue young men that don't have much and drain their nuts, there's no reward for chastity in this life. And there may be a lack of punishment for not being chaste, but there's no reward for the chastity in this life. If these women are going to sit up and say, I have to make sure that you don't get something you want out of me. Just cause. And that's what they're doing. So, you're still holding it. It's one-sided. And I'm going to start digging into you from here on out. And I might even block you on Facebook because I'm getting sick of this, bro. You're part of the problem. Now I've confirmed it. Oh, yeah, the sister. You give her advice and talk to her nicely, but you won't point the finger at brothers. And you're not mean really to anybody. But you're still acting like it's the dudes. You're the Muslim version of Clarence Jr. What's next? You gonna tell us that we need to stay and mentor other men's kids? I don't know. But what I do know is this, man, I'm gonna go even harder on Muslims like you than I am on non-Muslims like you. Because you know that there's 6 things that are sacred to the Muslim, and I forgot what all of them are, but one of them is lineage. Lineage. That means you don't walk up to a Muslim and say to him, you must take care of these other men's kids without having any of your own. And you must spend your wealth to do it. What? And it's a virtuous thing to take care of orphans, yeah. But, just other men can screw and you have to come along and pay the dues? No, bruh. And I'm afraid that that's going to be the next thing you're going to say. I hope I'm wrong. But you definitely are sitting up and saying, well, these men with the red pill and you want to sit up and have something to say negative about them. Bruh, it is the nice guys. If they're faking it, they're still being punished for being nice, even if they fake it. It is the nice guys that these women are punishing. And it's the attractive women that are punishing them, even when she's a nice girl herself. They're not just saying, no, bro, you know what? I'm not really into nice guys. You need to be a jerk. They don't have the decency to do that when they're young. They wait till they get old to even admit that much. No, what they're doing is even when she's nice herself and she's young and she's attractive, she doesn't just leave those guys alone. There are women that do that, but she'll punish them. Even if he's voluntarily doing certain things for her, he's young and inexperienced and nobody's sitting up and telling him what it is. And the best one in a position to tell him what the game really is her, and she won't do it. She won't even do it for her own younger brother. Later on for her own son when she's a single mom. She won't even do it for them. We're red pill because it's right. They play games. And in the Western world, religious women will turn around and play the same games. You got to understand, you've got to tell them something. If they're going to be chaste, you need to tell the women that they need to be chaste because it's the right thing to do. Instead, you're telling them, well, you need to be chaste so you can get more out of these men. No, No. That ain't the reason why, bruh. You're going to tell men to be chaste because it's the right thing to do, and that's the right message, but you're going to tell the women to be chaste to get more out of men? Ninja! I hope you never get behind the pulpit and give a sermon on Friday. Because honestly, with enough Muslim men like you, and I think we do have enough, the Muslim community will be ruined. And I know that the solution for black people is Islam. But you'll turn around and make it inapplicable even when it has the solutions. You know some medicines that people need work fine as long as the person doesn't drink. And you, brother, are like the alcohol in the bloodstream of that patient. You will render the medicine ineffective. I hope after my advice you won't. Thank you all for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, and Black Heterosexual, Non-Select Male Power just because they don't like it, and Black Patriarchy until extinction or Judgment Day.